OutDaughtered. Terrified, mom rushes 3-year-old daughter having trouble breathing to the doctor. The Busbys experience a medical scare on Tuesday's season premiere of OutDaughtered. In People's exclusive sneak peek at the episode, mom Danielle rushes one of her quintuplets, Ava, to the doctor after the 3-year-old starts having trouble breathing. Danielle rushed Ava off to the doctor after we heard her wheezing this morning, and while I'm worried, I have to stay calm until she calls me with an update, her husband Adam says. So, in the meantime, I'm just going to try and get some work done. But Adam's plans to work from home are promptly interrupted by the rest of the Quints: Olivia, Riley, Parker, and Hazel, who are wreaking havoc in just about every room in the house. One of the reasons I decided to work from home is so I could spend more time with my kids. But now that they're 3.5, these girls are way worse than I could even have imagined, he admits. They're terrible at sharing, and they're really super dramatic about it, like little birds chirping all day long, wanting attention. Finally, he gets a FaceTime from Danielle and Ava, who are still at the doctor's office. Danielle informs him that their little girl has somehow contracted a virus that's affecting the upper airway in her throat, so that's why she sounds like she swallowed a cat. Her airway is closing up, and that's terrifying, Danielle says. We're going to give her a steroid, and Dr. Kimball said we need to let it sit for about an hour. This is my little 3-year-old child, and she is a bit scared, but we have to do it. We have to make sure that everything is okay, and if she's not sounding better, then we'll have to go to the hospital. The doctor said that Ava has to sound better for her to feel comfortable with her leaving. She continues. You're just going to have to adjust your work schedule today. When you're a parent, there are some moments that completely change your entire heartbeat in a split second. One minute you're laughing, cooking dinner, or trying to get the kids ready for bed, and the next minute you hear a sound, one small sound that makes your stomach drop and your mind race. And for Danielle Busby, that moment was one of the most terrifying moments a mother can experience. Because this time, it wasn't about a normal cold. It wasn't about a simple cough. It wasn't about a small fever. It was about something far scarier. Her 3-year-old daughter was having trouble breathing. And in that moment, Danielle didn't act like a reality TV star. She didn't act like someone used to cameras and attention. She acted like what she truly is at her core, a mother who would do anything to protect her child. And the fear in her voice was real. The panic in her eyes was real. And the urgency in her actions proved one thing. When it comes to your child's health, nothing else matters. Because when your baby can't breathe, the world stops. You rush to check their temperature, you check their breathing, and you sit there whispering prayers hoping it's nothing serious. But the thing is, when a child is struggling to breathe, that fear becomes 10 times heavier. Because breathing is not something we think about until it becomes difficult. Breathing is life. Breathing is everything. And when a small child looks like they can't get enough air, a parent's brain instantly jumps to the worst possible outcomes. Danielle Busby found herself in exactly that nightmare. And what made it even more intense? The child was only 3 years old. Just a baby. Just at the age where they still need their mom for every little thing. Still at the age where they can't fully explain what they're feeling. They can't say, Mom, I can't breathe properly. They can't explain chest tightness. They can't describe wheezing. They can't explain if their throat feels like it's closing up. All they can do is cry, gasp, cough, and look terrified. And if you've ever been in that situation as a parent, you already know that image stays in your mind forever. One thing that fans of OutDaughtered have noticed over the years is that Danielle Busby is usually the strong one. She's the organized one. She's the get-it-done mom. She handles chaos like a professional. And let's face it, if you have 6 daughters, you basically become a superhero. Because 6 girls means 6 different personalities, 6 different moods, 6 different energy levels, 6 different bedtime routines, 6 different attitudes, 6 different emotional storms. And Danielle has always been the mom who somehow manages to keep the house from falling apart. But this time, even Danielle couldn't hide her fear. Even Danielle couldn't keep her voice steady. Because this wasn't about homework or a tantrum. This was about her child's breathing. And when breathing becomes an issue, a mother's instincts take over immediately. No more calm. No more patience. No more let's wait and see. It becomes, we are going now. And that's exactly what happened. Danielle rushed her daughter to the doctor, terrified of what might be going on. The reality of parenting 6 kids. Now, for anyone who doesn't watch OutDaughtered, it's easy to assume the Busbys have it easier than most families. They're famous. They have money. They have a big home. They have support. But here's the truth. Having money doesn't stop your child from getting sick. Having fame doesn't stop your child from struggling. Having cameras doesn't stop fear. And no matter how big your house is, when your child is suffering, you feel just as helpless as any other parent. Danielle and Adam Busby have 6 daughters. Blake, the oldest, and the quintuplets, Ava, Olivia, Hazel, Riley, and Parker. And if you know their story, you know how special their family is. The Busbys became famous because of something rare and unbelievable. They had the first all-girl quintuplets in the United States. That's not something you see every day. So their family was already living an extraordinary life. But extraordinary doesn't mean easy. Because raising quintuplets is like living in non-stop survival mode. And even though the girls are older now, the challenges never really stop. They just change shape. Instead of diapers, it's school stress. Instead of bottles, it's emotional breakdowns. Instead of baby cries, it's sibling fights. Instead of teething, it's anxiety. And now, it's health scares that can hit out of nowhere. When the symptoms started, from what fans saw and heard, this situation didn't come out of nowhere in Danielle's mind. It started with the signs that every parent recognizes. A cough, congestion, maybe a little fatigue, maybe a slight fever. At first, it might have seemed like a normal cold. Kids get colds all the time, especially kids who go to school, especially kids who are around other children constantly. And with the Busby girls, they're always around friends, classmates, and activities. So illness is not unusual in that household. But then it got worse. And when it gets worse, you start to feel that familiar fear creeping in. The fear that says, what if this isn't just a cold? What if it's something serious? What if I'm not taking it seriously enough? And then came the moment that changed everything. Her daughter began having trouble breathing. That's not just a symptom. That's an emergency. And Danielle knew it. Picture it. You're a mom. You've been busy all day. You've been taking care of multiple kids. You've been cooking, cleaning, answering questions, handling emotions. Then suddenly, one of your children starts coughing in a way that doesn't sound normal. Not a regular cough. Not a tickle-in-the-throat cough. But a deep cough. A struggle cough. A cough that sounds like it's stuck in their chest. And then you notice something else. They're breathing faster. Their chest is rising too hard. They're making a wheezing sound. They look tired. They look scared. They can't get comfortable. They can't calm down. And then the worst part, they start to look like they can't catch their breath. That moment feels like time stops. Your brain goes into panic mode. Your hands start shaking. Your heart starts racing. And the only thing you can think is, please God, let my baby breathe. Danielle was living that moment, and she didn't waste time. She grabbed her child and rushed to the doctor. Parents know kids get sick often, but breathing issues are a different level of fear. Because kids' airways are smaller than adults. Their bodies are still developing. Their immune systems are still learning. So, when a child's airway gets inflamed or blocked, it can happen fast. And even if it's something treatable, it can still look terrifying. Some common reasons children struggle with breathing include, the scary part is that a parent may not know which one it is. All they see is their baby struggling. And when you see that, your brain doesn't care about medical terms. Your brain only cares about survival. That's why Danielle's reaction was so intense. Because she didn't know if this was a small issue or something life-threatening. She just knew her baby was struggling. And that's enough to terrify any mother. One thing fans admire about Danielle is her instincts. She's not the type of mom who ignores signs. She's not the type of mom who says, oh, it's probably nothing. No. Danielle is the kind of mom who gets serious fast. And she has to be. Because when you have 6 kids, You can't afford to take risks. You can't afford to say, wait until tomorrow, when something looks wrong. Because with 6 children, sickness spreads quickly. If one child gets sick, the whole house can get sick. And Danielle knows that better than anyone. So when her 3-year-old started having trouble breathing, Danielle immediately did what every good mother does. She acted fast. She rushed to the doctor. Because no parent wants to take chances when it comes to breathing. Now here's something people don't talk about enough. Being a parent is already stressful. But being a parent in front of cameras? That adds a whole new level of pressure. Because if you're filming, people are watching your decisions. People are judging how quickly you act. People are judging your parenting style. People are judging everything. And Danielle Busby has faced criticism many times in the past. Some fans think she's too strict. Some think she's too emotional. Some think she's too controlling. Some think she's too overwhelmed. But in moments like this, all those opinions disappear. Because it becomes clear, she's not acting for attention. She's not acting for drama. She's reacting like a mother who is genuinely terrified. And honestly, that's what made this moment so powerful. Because it reminded everyone that behind the fame, behind the show, behind the brand, Danielle is just a mom who loves her child. And fear is fear. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It hits you the same. Whenever something serious happens on OutDaughtered, fans respond quickly. And this situation was no different. Many fans expressed worry, sympathy, and support. Because even people who don't love the Busbys can relate to a health scare. Parents know that feeling. That sinking feeling in your stomach. That helplessness. That please don't let it be serious fear. And seeing Danielle rush her daughter to the doctor made fans emotional. Because it wasn't just a storyline. It was a real moment. And fans could see it. If you've followed the Busbys for years, you know this isn't their first health scare. Their daughter Hazel has had issues with her eyes, and she had surgery when she was younger. That storyline was heartbreaking for many viewers. Because Hazel was just a little girl, and the idea of her needing surgery was scary. Danielle and Adam have also spoken about other health concerns with their kids over the years. So when this new situation happened, it triggered that same fear again. Because once you've experienced medical scares with your child, you never forget it. Even when everything turns out fine, you still carry that trauma. You still remember the waiting rooms. You still remember the doctor's serious face. You still remember the worry. And Danielle has experienced enough to know that it's always better to be safe than sorry. So she didn't hesitate. The hardest part about parenting is not the sickness itself. It's the what if. What if this gets worse? What if we waited too long? What if this is pneumonia? What if her airway closes? What if she stops breathing? What if she needs the hospital? What if she needs oxygen? What if she needs a breathing treatment? What if she needs an ambulance? What if she can't fight it? Those thoughts hit like a storm. And they don't stop until your child is safe again. Danielle was living inside that storm. And you could feel it in her tone. You could feel it in her urgency. Because she wasn't just worried. She was terrified. Now Adam Busby has always been the calmer one in many situations. He tries to stay positive. He tries to keep the energy lighter. But even Adam can't stay calm when it comes to his kids' health. When one of the girls is sick, you can tell Adam becomes protective instantly. And in situations like this, both parents feel the pressure. Because it's not just one child. It's one child while 5 other kids still need attention. That's the crazy part about large families. Even during an emergency, life doesn't stop. The other kids still need dinner. They still need comfort. They still need reassurance. They still ask questions. And parents have to somehow balance everything. So while Danielle rushed to the doctor, the entire family's world shifted. If you know the Busby girls, you know they are extremely close. The Quints have a bond that most siblings will never fully understand. They've been together since birth. They've grown up together. They share everything: friends, toys, school experiences, family routines. So when one of them is sick, the others feel it too. It's not like one child gets sick and the others ignore it. They might even cry. Because seeing your sister struggling to breathe is traumatic even for a child. And Danielle likely had to reassure the other girls as well. because kids can sense fear. Even if parents try to hide it, kids feel it. And if Danielle was terrified, the other girls probably noticed. The moment Danielle walked into that doctor's office, you could imagine her emotions. That desperate hope. That need for reassurance. That need for answers. Because when you're scared about your child's breathing, you don't want guesses. You want certainty. You want a professional to say, "She's okay." Or, at least, "We know what's happening." Because not knowing is the worst part. And doctors know that. They know that parents come in with fear. And their job is not just to treat the child. It's to calm the family. It's to explain what's going on. It's to provide a plan. And Danielle. Sometimes it's croup, which causes that barking cough and can make breathing sound scary. Even if it's not life-threatening, it can still look like a nightmare. And Danielle didn't know what it was until she got to the doctor. So she did the right thing. She rushed her child in. Danielle is a strong woman, but moments like this break even the strongest parents. Because it makes you feel powerless. You can't fight sickness the way you fight problems. You can't solve it instantly. You can't control it. All you can do is take action and pray. And for Danielle, this situation probably brought back old fears. Because once you've had a child in medical trouble, you never stop worrying. Even if they're healthy most of the time, you still have that fear in the back of your mind. And seeing her 3-year-old struggling to breathe probably felt like the universe was playing a cruel joke. Because 3 is such an innocent age. 3-year-olds should be running around laughing, not gasping for air, not needing urgent medical attention. So yes, Danielle was terrified. And she had every reason to be. One reason fans reacted strongly is because it felt real. It didn't feel like reality TV drama. It felt like something that could happen to anyone. Because it can. And that's why people watched with emotion. Even people who criticized the Busbys couldn't ignore the seriousness of the moment. Because when a child is in danger, it becomes bigger than entertainment. Danielle often carries the title of being the strong mom, the responsible mom, the manager of the household, the organizer. But sometimes being the strong one is exhausting. And sometimes you don't want to be strong. You just want someone to hold you and tell you everything will be okay. But moms like Danielle don't always get that chance. Because everyone depends on them. The kids depend on them. The husband depends on them. The schedule depends on them. The family depends on them. So even when Danielle is scared, she still has to move forward. She still has to do what needs to be done. And rushing her daughter to the doctor is exactly what she did. This story also reminded viewers that the Busbys' life isn't perfect. Yes, they have a beautiful home. Yes, they have adorable kids. Yes, they have money. But they also have fear. They have stress. They have health scares. And when a child struggles to breathe, all the luxury in the world means nothing. Because no amount of money can calm your heart in that moment. No amount of fame can stop your mind from racing. And no camera crew can make that fear disappear. One thing we can say clearly is this. Danielle did the right thing. She didn't wait. She didn't ignore it. She didn't say, "It'll be fine." She trusted her instincts. And that's a powerful lesson for parents. Because many parents hesitate. They worry they'll look dramatic. They worry the doctor will judge them. They worry it will be expensive. They worry it will be nothing. But when it comes to breathing, you don't gamble. You don't wait. You don't take risks. Because breathing issues can become serious quickly. And Danielle's urgency showed that she understood the seriousness. About something that many moms experience but rarely admit openly. Mom guilt. The guilt that says, "Did I miss the signs? Did I not notice earlier? Should I have taken her sooner? Did I do something wrong?" Even when it's not your fault, guilt finds its way in. And Danielle probably felt it too. Because when your child is sick, you automatically blame yourself. You wonder if you should have kept them warmer. You wonder if you should have given medicine sooner. You wonder if you should have kept them away from school. You wonder if you should have done more. And that guilt is heavy. But the truth is, kids get sick. And sometimes things happen suddenly. And Danielle did what mattered most. She responded. She acted. She protected her child. Eventually, Most parents reach the moment they're desperate for. The doctor gives answers. The doctor listens to the lungs. The doctor checks oxygen levels. The doctor checks the throat. The doctor runs tests if needed. And then comes the moment of relief. Sometimes it's a diagnosis, like bronchitis. Sometimes it's an asthma issue. Sometimes it's a viral infection. Sometimes it's pneumonia. Sometimes it's croup. But whatever it is, at least you finally know. And knowing brings a little peace. Because once you know, you can fight it. You can treat it. You can manage it. But until you know, you're trapped in fear. So Danielle rushing to the doctor wasn't just about treatment. It was about getting clarity, getting reassurance, getting help, and hopefully getting relief. A health scare like this changes a family. Even if the child recovers fully, the fear stays. Parents become more cautious. They watch for symptoms more closely. They worry more. They double-check everything. They might even become more protective. And with Danielle, that might mean she becomes even more careful about her kid's health. It might mean she becomes stricter about rest and nutrition. It might mean she becomes more cautious about activities when the kids are sick. Because once you see your child struggling to breathe, you never forget it. That memory becomes a permanent warning sign in your heart. Another thing fans always notice is how resilient the Busby girls are. They've grown up in front of cameras. They've dealt with constant attention. They've dealt with public opinions. They've dealt with family challenges. And they've handled it surprisingly well. But sickness is different. Sickness humbles everyone. Even the most energetic child becomes quiet. Even the loudest child becomes tired. And it's heartbreaking to watch. So seeing one of the girls struggling to breathe likely reminded fans just how fragile life can be. And how quickly things can change. Fans have watched the Quints since they were babies. People feel like they grew up with them. So when something scary happens, fans react emotionally. They don't just see it as a TV storyline. They see it like watching a niece, a nephew, or a cousin get sick. That's why people feel so invested. And that's why this story became such a big topic. Because it wasn't just a health update. It was a reminder that these kids are real. And their pain is real. After news like this spreads, social media always lights up. People comment, praying for her. I hope she's okay. That must be terrifying. I've been through this with my child. Breathing issues are the worst. And the reason people react this way is because it's universal. You don't have to be a Busby fan to understand fear. You don't have to watch the show to understand what it feels like to panic for your child. And Danielle's story touched that instinct in everyone. Danielle has 6 kids, but even with experience, parenting doesn't get easier when it comes to emergencies. In fact, it needed that plan. Because her daughter needed help. Now, in many cases, breathing trouble in kids can be caused by something treatable. But the reason Danielle was so scared is because the symptoms can look severe. A child can go from coughing to wheezing quickly. A child can go from congested to struggling. Sometimes it's just inflammation. Sometimes it's fluid in the lungs. Sometimes it's an infection. Sometimes it's asthma. Sometimes it's RSV, which is very common in young kids and can be dangerous. Gets harder. Because the more kids you have, the more you fear losing one. The more kids you have, the more your heart is divided into pieces. So Danielle wasn't just scared for her child. She was scared for her entire world. Because for parents, kids are not just kids. They are your reason. They are your purpose. They are your life. And when one of them is in danger, it feels like your whole world is collapsing. Over the years, Danielle and Adam have often spoken about faith and gratitude. And in moments like this, faith becomes even more important. Because when doctors can't instantly fix everything, you turn to prayer. When you don't know what will happen, you turn to hope. And for many parents, faith becomes the only thing that keeps them calm. Danielle likely leaned on that. Because when your child struggles to breathe, you need something to hold on to. And hope is powerful. This story matters for more than just entertainment. It's a reminder. A reminder that health is fragile. A reminder that children are vulnerable. A reminder that parents need to trust their instincts. A reminder that even the strongest moms can break down. And a reminder that behind every viral headline, there's a real family feeling real fear. No matter what critics say about Danielle Busby, one thing cannot be denied. She loves her children fiercely. She fights for them. She sacrifices for them. And she is deeply emotionally connected to them. So, when her daughter started having trouble breathing, Danielle's reaction wasn't surprising. It was exactly what you'd expect from a mother who loves her child more than anything. She rushed to the doctor.
She didn't waste time.
She didn't hesitate. She acted. Because when you're a mom, your child's safety is everything. After the doctor visit, most parents go into full recovery mode. They make sure the child rests. They monitor symptoms. They follow the doctor's instructions carefully. They give medicine on time. They watch the child while they sleep. And yes, they probably don't sleep much themselves. Because once you've seen your child struggle to breathe, you can't just relax. You keep checking. You keep listening. You keep watching their chest rise and fall. You keep praying they don't wake up coughing again. You keep hoping the worst is over. Danielle likely went through that exact process. And if you've ever been a parent, you know how exhausting it is. But you do it anyway. Because love doesn't let you rest. One of the scariest things about breathing problems in kids is that they often get worse at night. That's what terrifies parents. During the day, the child might seem okay. But at night, coughing fits happen. Wheezing gets worse. Congestion builds up. And suddenly, you're sitting up in bed at 2 a.m., holding your child, trying to calm them down. So even after seeing the doctor, Danielle probably still had anxiety. Because the fear doesn't vanish immediately. It stays until your child is fully recovered. And even then, you remain cautious. Now, if this moment was captured for OutDaughtered, fans might see it in an episode. And if it is shown, it will likely be one of the most emotional segments of the season. Because medical scares always bring out raw emotion. And reality TV viewers can usually tell when something is real. This wasn't staged drama. This wasn't reality show acting. This was genuine fear. And if it makes it to the show, it will likely hit fans hard. This family's entire life is basically chaos, but it's the kind of chaos many people admire. Because despite the madness, the Busbys are still together. They still love each other. They still show up for their kids. And yes, they still struggle. Because no family is perfect. And this situation reminded everyone that even families who look perfect on Instagram still face scary moments. Danielle is active on social media. And while social media helps her connect with fans, it also adds pressure. Because when you share your life publicly, people comment on everything. Some people are supportive, but others can be cruel. Some people blame parents for things they couldn't control. Some people judge medical decisions. Some people criticize. And that can be painful. So when Danielle shared or experienced this health scare, she likely also felt the weight of public opinion. But in the moment of fear, none of that matters. Because all she cared about was her child breathing. This story is relatable because it's every parent's nightmare. A sick child is hard. But a child who can't breathe? That's panic. That's trauma. That's the kind of moment that stays with you forever. And seeing Danielle go through it reminded people that motherhood is not always cute moments and matching outfits. Sometimes motherhood is fear. Sometimes motherhood is tears. Sometimes motherhood is rushing to the doctor with shaking hands. And that's real. That's life. Fans are now hoping for one thing. That the little girl is okay. That she recovers fully. That the breathing issues were temporary. That it was treatable. That she is back to laughing, running, playing, and being a normal child. Because nobody wants to see a child suffer. And nobody wants to see Danielle go through that fear again. In the end, this story isn't just about a sick child. It's about the strength of a mother. Danielle Busby showed that when it comes to her kids, she doesn't play. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't delay.
She acts.
She protects. And she loves with everything she has. That's what motherhood looks like. Not perfection. Not flawless parenting. Not always calm and collected. And honestly, moments like this are why OutDaughtered continues to connect with audiences. Because behind the cute family moments, there are real struggles, real fears, real parenting challenges. And this was one of those moments. A terrifying moment. A moment that reminded everyone that health is everything. And when your baby is struggling to breathe,